Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games, and as always we'll start with a bit of EVE Online. And despite the fact that it was a patch week in EVE Online, I didn't play all that much. So basically the culprit there was Stellaris. I felt like I needed to get some of those megastructures done. That cost me quite a bit of time, and I didn't have all that much time to play EVE Online because of it. But I still, of course, did keep up with the blueprint copy business, which is going really well. On a sudden day, I like 10 contracts that were sold, so that was pretty damn good. I'm keeping up with my research stuff. PI, of course, is also still running and is still decent in price, but I must also warn you guys that from EVE Talk I've seen that PI is slowly going back down in prices, and so if you want to sell at a better than average price, you should try and bring that stuff to the market pretty quickly. My Orca is finished in Solitude, so that one is finished, fitted and ready for use. I'm also building another Orca in Isaac itself, which is for my Yona base of operations, but more on that later. And my next phase in basically consolidating my assets and getting my 3 bases of operations ready for everything that I want them to be able to do is actually to get some rattlesnakes out there for a mission battleship, so that I can chain level 4 missions pretty damn well. And I've been pretty lucky on that end, because there just happens to be someone that wanted to sell a fitted rattlesnake in Solitude as well. So I picked up that contract, which is a very lucky happenstance, because buying rattlesnakes in Solitude, it costs a lot of extra ISK and the availability is really tiny. So that would have been either risking a rattlesnake through low nullsec, which I was not about to do, or really waiting and hunting for that Isaac to Isaac wormhole that does spawn from time to time in Solitude. Now, I should also quickly thank a couple of you guys that have pointed me to a public channel that is used in Solitude to share information like that. I joined it, and I'm going to keep an eye on it, maybe try to be a bit more active with Isaac to Isaac wormholes when they do pop up, to get a bit more of my logistics done, maybe get some stuff from Solitude out into Isaac as well for selling. Next up we have a little bit of Stellaris. Now, as I've said, I put a decent amount of time in that, but it's also gone down in fun for me. Because I was chasing after the megastructures, trying to explore those, trying to make some of those, and that costs a lot of time, a lot of resources, but especially just time is a real bottleneck. And at this point I had played the whole game so far on normal speed. I was not about to go increase my speed just to like get the megastructures more quickly and then miss out on some of the other things that the game might throw at me, which it never really did, which is a little bit of the problem. So it became decently boring. On top of that, the game was also patched all of a sudden, and because of that my economy took quite a hit. So my minerals were almost halved, not in total yield but in the extra yield that I was making, which again slowed down my process by quite a little bit. And then of course, I made a Dyson sphere, at least the first phase of that, which gave me 100 energy credits, but because of the changes in the patch I should have completely focused on the ring world, which I would have had completed pretty much by now. Because there you do get 25 perfect tiles, you can focus on mineral production if you want to. And yeah, it takes a lot of time. Another bottleneck there is your influence, so keep that in mind. 300 influence just to get started on one of those megastructures is a decent amount to gather together. If you're spamming the other habitats, which cost 100 influence, you tend to not save up, and that did become a little bit of a problem as well. Had some downtime where I was basically just waiting for my influence to come back. And so the megastructures, they are pretty cool, pretty interesting, but also don't expect that to like drastically change everything in the game. They're more like a little bit of a cherry on top at the end of a play of Stellaris, except for the habitats, which from this playthrough is basically the biggest lesson that I've learned is go for unlocking the habitats as soon as possible, preferably your second perk. They're just that good, and I would even go as far as to say that I would wait for the right technology after I've unlocked the second perk just to grab the habitats more quickly or as quickly as is possible in a game of Stellaris. So that is probably also going to be the end for me for this Stellaris playthrough, the single player game. We'll see if I play a little bit more with my brother or not. Definitely a fun game. Grand strategy is something that I can sink my teeth in. I learned a lot, so I have some ideas about what I want to do with my next hive mind, but then it's going to be a little bit about timing. When will I do this? I don't exactly know just yet. Maybe we'll wait for another patch, maybe we'll wait for some more information, or maybe I'll get inspired and jump in more Stellaris pretty soon. We'll see how that works out. After that we have some Heroes of the Storm, so I'm basically trying to keep up with the quests there for now, just to try and get the gold, maybe unlock a few interesting heroes and explore those a little bit. So far the game is really fun, and I would almost say that I'm preferring spending time in Heroes of the Storm than in Overwatch at the moment. I think it's basically the daily quest system does work. You know, you get pretty good daily quests with like 8 games to play, which you can combine with 3 wins and then play 2 games as a Warcraft hero, for instance. So you don't need to play too many games to get a decent amount of gold in. And of course then the unlocking of new characters as you earn gold does add to the motivation to keep playing some more Heroes of the Storm. On top of that, the games are like 15 to 20 minutes, which is in my opinion much more doable than something like Dota or League of Legends. And yeah, you have this goal to work on if you have a couple of characters that you want to unlock. Like I just unlocked Probius, which seemed pretty interesting, but now that I actually played with his mechanics a little bit, I can see that he has some weaknesses as well, and it's just pretty interesting, pretty fun. Although I don't win a lot of games, the fact that you can make that progression just sticking to quick play, you don't have to go to ranked, you don't have to worry too much about the MOBA effect is what I call it. Sometimes you do tend to get a little bit mad at your team members and at yourself and at the game in general, which I think in quick play is quite a lot less. It's quite a bit more casual there. People play for fun. They understand that sometimes they're gonna be synced up with people that don't really know what they're doing, and then those games become stomps pretty fast. You move on to the next one, and you also have like a limited number of games that you need to play just to get through your daily quests decently efficiently. So overall, Heroes of the Storm, I'm still pretty positive about the state of the game at the moment. I actually think it's fun, even from my perspective, which is very casual, basically the minimum amount of games to earn a decent chunk of gold and unlock a couple more heroes. Seems to be working for me for now. After that we have a bit more Banished, so I still jumped into that game a couple of times. It's alright, you know, I'm still expanding my city, but the change is of course that I feel like I can't really keep up with the pattern that I've been using before. It grows my population too greatly, and I get food problems. So I fixed those by putting up a lot of extra farms everywhere a little bit where I could, by adding more storage as well, so that they can actually move the food that they're making more quickly from the farms to storage areas, so that I get higher yields from my farms. The one biggest problem that I'm encountering now is that I have a couple of places where it's basically nothing but farms and fields and just a couple of houses here and there, and from those places I don't get the full yield of what grows on those fields. I think it's because those workers that work the fields actually live a longer way away in one of those town centers, and so they have to do a lot of traveling between their house and their place of work, and as a result my yield just isn't what it is. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to fix that. I could try to fix that with adding some extra farmers up there, maybe on those specific fields. I'm not sure if that works, if you can go above the maximum of like 4 farmers, but we'll see if I can somehow fix that. But for the rest of the map, I'm basically now jumping a little bit in the 12 by 13 pattern. That is one that tends to fix that problem specifically, because you can have chunks of 6 houses with a storage facility in between all of those houses, and then surround that with decently large farms and fields, again for extra production, but you also have living spaces nearby enough so that the workers can actually get on the fields, move everything into storage barns quickly and efficiently. And as a result, the food problems have been solved, but I had to fall back to my good old pattern in order to continue expanding the town at this point. And then finally, yes, it's actually 5 games this week. We have a little bit of Quake Champions closed beta as well, with Bethesda and id Software, I think. Is it id Software? Yeah, I think so. Dropping the NDA, I could make like a first video on that one. I've actually been in the closed beta for a couple of weeks, but I never really played all that much. You guys probably know from the Sunday recaps that I am pretty busy with other games as well. Still, I wanted to check that out. I've never played any of the Quake series before, so this is for me like basically one of my first experience with a really a decently fast-paced arena shooter, and so far I'm having decent fun, but you can also see the influence of the success of Blizzard there. So they also add like 3 daily quests that you can choose from. They have this weird renting system for heroes, although in the current phase every hero is unlocked, so you can try anything that you want to. So it's interesting. It definitely takes influences from Overwatch, but it's much more of a shooter where your skill, your map awareness and your reflexes will make a difference compared to like team compositions and tactics and ultimates and things like that in Overwatch. So it's definitely for a different type of player that wants something that is more skill based. It's also much more fast-paced. I think it's pretty interesting, but I just cannot see myself play a lot of Quake Champions, to be honest. And it's partly probably because I'm not that good at these types of games. I'm not a great FPS shooter. My aim is terrible in most of those games. And on top of that, if you then need reflexes, pay full attention to everything all the time, and then you're trying to record a video, that also doesn't work out all too well. And so as a result, I may dabble around in Quake Champions a little bit. We'll see how they keep the game updated. But for now, it's just a fun little side experience, and I feel pretty privileged that I got into the closed beta so quickly, and I definitely wanted to share a little bit of that experience with you guys as well. And that's going to be it for this Sunday recap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.